Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Yokalan Research Channel for a new video today. Today we're going to talk about the 7 pieces puzzle, and this video is the outcome of a 2-hour discussion yesterday night, European time, between Michael, my dear friend, and myself. We were just chit-chatting yesterday, as we do like once every 2 weeks, and one thing leading to another and one abnormality leading to the other. We were very excited to achieve what, I'm not achieve is a big word, but to discover what I'm going to show you now. I'm going to use material that I don't own, but as YouTube allows a fair use, I just want to include this slide just to make sure that nobody is going to put me in jail for 200 years using their material, a part of it. We're going to start with the Scrolls of Antiora, since it is the book that revealed the 7 pieces to us. The show and the McGuinness branch showed us one of those pieces, but the first time we saw the 7 pieces, which are here, was in this book by Donru. And just to remind you, Donru was collecting memories and documents from his friend Bill Jackson and inherited of all his material. And one of the material was a picture, a photograph of the 7 pieces united. I think you're pretty familiar with this if you joined Michael's or mine channel in the past, and this shouldn't be any news to you. So I'm not going to re-explain what is this picture dealing with. We know it's the probable hydraulic mechanism and the booby trap under the water. But yesterday, when we were looking and discussing this with Michael, something caught my eye. And I told Michael what I was seeing, and he added more arguments to it to back it up. So that's why we're doing this video today. So we know this, the original parchment document has been reproduced in plain paper, and that's how it looks like. And we know those points, markers, are actually all described on the Zina Halpern's map, which are the landmarks, the hole under the trapdoor, the valve. And one of the video I published last year was the video where I found out the parallel between this diagram and the Zina Halpern's map. And from La Formule, that talks about distances, tunnels and corridors and a hump to find, I deduced this is what those devices were and the distance in modern feet. So I rescanned this picture from the book with a better printer quality, as you can see, and I'm going to use this as a support. So one question I'm asking myself, and one question that was our debate yesterday, is why cut this document into 7 pieces, and why cut it along those lines? There are easier way to cut a document in 7 pieces than making those weird shapes. That was the beginning of the quest. Not the quest, it's a bit strong, but figure it out. These are the separated documents once cut. If I gave you this, what could you deduce about anything? You can deduce there seems to be on the right hand side a vault with some case on, or a box, and items on the box. You understand there's a corridor leading to it, but in the middle of this corridor there's a shaft at the C point. And you could, if you're bright or smart, you could think this is the money pit with the logs. That's what would help you. And you see that there is something to jump, some earth to move to go from here to there. You would also deduce that the elevation of the entry point is probably at, you know, if now we know later that this is the 90 Footstone, you would have thought, because you don't, this is not to scale, but you don't know it's not to scale, that this point here is deeper than it is actually, as per La Formule. So you could not deduce from this there was a flooding system attached to it. You could not deduce there is a back valve and hole under the trapdoor and evacuation of water possible, a drain, you couldn't deduce much. Now, if I give you this one, which shows the valve and the hole under the trapdoor, you would understand there's a valve and a hole under the trapdoor. Okay, but what for? And you wouldn't even see that it connects to the top of the earth at surface. If I give you this one, you would see there is some water maybe, or something there, could be dirt. And you see a caisson, and you see a blocker, but that's it. You don't know how to enter, you don't have the shaft. So the way they cut it, if we look at it, all right, I separated all the documents here. The way they cut it was to make sure that if you're missing one part, you would miss the whole picture. Now, yes and no, because when we were discussing with Michael yesterday, we can easily see that this shape here, this left document, is explaining there's an entry of something. If you don't have it, you don't know about the booby trap. So this one is essential. The one in the middle here is also essential because it explains how you enter the vault. So this one is essential as a drawing. This one is essential, gives you the hump, the system underneath, and this one, of course, is essential. So actually, you only have 4 out of 7 that make sense in the proposal, that it was cut exactly so that if you're missing one of the drawing, you don't get the full picture. Look at the cut it here. That G point, the entrance, is crucial. And you can only figure it out if you got both parts. Same with the right-hand side. The whole right-hand side is the backflow control mechanism. That shows there's a... maybe the picture is not good. Yeah, that's... let's go back to the first one. You can see on the first one that there is a piece that's here on top. There's a piece on top of the white drawing that does exactly like this. So without that piece, I think it goes all the way, you don't know that it's surfacing, right? So what I'm getting to there is that it was cut on purpose. It was cut for this 2, 3, 4. But why would they make those cuts here and why on this one? And the last one is the one I just showed, which got almost no drawing. And this one here, you know, they're saying 7 parts. At the same time, Bill Jackson talks about 8 because this one on top, as you could see, is we don't know if it's 7 or 8. Let me show you this. If we go, sorry. Oops. Yeah. This one that I only have in black and white, is it 1 or 2 pieces? It's the top border and another one which is just the shaft here. So sometimes we mention 7 and sometimes we mention 8, but I think it's the same. But without it, you don't know that there is a shaft connecting to the top, to the surface, like you don't know. It's almost the surface connectors piece of drawings, right? Let me get back to this. So the problem now is that, okay, for 4 pieces, you can find the reason the drawing was cut specifically at some points. But what about the others? Well, you remember La Formule, right? And you remember something is missing. Some text has been on purpose removed. And what piece of text? It's the thing we're looking for ages, is la valeur, which got some significance. And we know it starts with 20, 20 in French. But there could be some words here, 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 even underneath that they didn't want us, or that they wanted to separate because it's an essential piece of data. So not only they cut the drawing to separate the drawings themselves, the 4 drawings, but they also cut the big parchment before it was cut to remove some indications so that a single user couldn't read the whole thing. You need to be all together again so that all this makes sense. I guess you follow me. So La Formule, it's a hand copy of the original backside. It doesn't have the exact same shape it's inspired from. And we know one character goes beyond the line. And when you overlay them, you see it doesn't exactly the same shape. It's a hand copy from the original document, and they wanted to keep roughly the same shape, thinking maybe it was important. But we know why the shape is what it is, the real shape. It's to remove some part of the text from the user. Now, the very interesting thing also is that La Formule, if you give me a second, I need to deal with the cat. La Formule, excuse me, talks about the entrance. Stop, don't dig, dig at 40 feet with a 45-degree angle, and you reach the service corridor tunnel, which is around 40 feet mark and not 80 feet mark, as you see if you count the logs on the drawing, which is not to scale. This is much more precise. But this information about how to get from A to B, this information on how to get from A to B, which deals with this section of the document, is found on that section of the document. Almost as if the instruction for this piece, how to use it, could be on that piece, and the instruction on where to locate and block the flow could be on the back of this piece on purpose. They mix and match. And that's why on this one you find that particular shape is to hide the value, which got an importance somehow. This is probably why also here and there you've got those weird shape hiding things from the text. And here it must be pure text on the other side, and here it must be pure text on the other side, since there's no important drawing. Okay, let's carry on. So La Formule, which this version is tagged, and it's got the Mary's note at the bottom, from Jim McGuinness to William Jackson. It is Jim McGuinness who gave it, this copy, his copy, to Bill Jackson. And I was saying, there's a little flow here. The triangle goes over the line. If it was a real cut, it would cut it. But we can see it. So we know it's a copy. But okay, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. So it means that somebody had access to the original document, front and back, and made a copy of the back of the text. So, yeah, La Formule, as you can see, doesn't exactly match. Even at the bottom, you would have these discrepancies here. What they thought was important to reproduce was the shape is pretty accurate. They must have thought it's got an importance, not grasping why it was cut, probably. Now, what I did is I took the black and white clean sketch of the underground, and I reversed it as a mirror, like this is the back print, and I tried to the best I could with the tools I had to remove the drawing. So this is what the backside would look like, and on this part you would have La Formule, and on that part you probably have something continuing on this part here, right? So if we could ever find the other one here, which doesn't have any drawing or not much, I mean, on that side it doesn't, on the other not much, but it must have some text. And I'm sure there were text here, there were text here. Why only La Formule? Everybody went away with this piece of text, and I suspect the piece of text deal with another section. That's why they cut it this way. So the conclusion at this stage from our discussion yesterday with Michael was the pieces were cut to separate drawings so that no one has the full picture. You need to be back together, the owners, as a split key. The pieces were also cut to separate important instructions, as we can see with La Formule, since we don't know what the value is. Well, Michael does. He told me yesterday, but he won't reveal it to you. Just kidding, of course. Okay, so that's the conclusion. Now I'm going to go to another world, with the world of hypotheses and maybes. So be kind with me. I'm just making hypotheses because I want to go a bit further. Why 7 pieces? Who cut them and for what reason? First of all, this is the usually admitted money pit situation. The tree, the boys, the first flagstone layer, and every 10 feet there's a piece of log, tunnel entry, 90 foot stone, sorry, oak box, sorry, 90 foot stones here, 90 foot stone at 90 foot, etc. According to the records, that the one most commonly admitted, what was found in the pit? Was found in the pit the 90 foot stone, and the rest, prospective. That's pretty much it, isn't it? All the rest, I wouldn't sign off on it. I mean, even the gold chain, even the parchment, the tiny little bit, I'm not sure. How can you say it was not planted there, etc. So that's the commonly admitted story, but it is not true. We got documents, and I'm going to show one of them, which is the story of Oak Island received from Reverend Kempton, who deciphered the 90 foot stone. I know it's hard to read, but bear with me because there's some crazy information in this. Compare quite well to I'm going to start here. This company, formed by Lintz. So we're in 1804, 1805. It is the first attempt after the 3 boys to dig in the money pit. And the 3 boys, Vaughan, Smith, and McGuinness, were part of that company, amongst other people. So they went down. They stopped at 27 feet in 1795. And in 1804, 1805, first this is the story of when they went down at 60 feet. On the way down, found pieces of broken tools, pieces of plank and board. When about 60 feet down, one evening, one of the men who had been using a crowbar when knocking off the day went to drive the crowbar into the ground to let it remain for the night at 60 feet. And in driving it down, struck something that gave a hollow sound. So they must know what that was, and hoe and shovel soon were busy, and in a short time they dug out a strong iron hooped cask. This was treasure, as it was very heavy. Of course, all was excitement. But instead of knocking out the end of the cask and taking its contents by the bucketful, the excitement descent the boss and 3 others from the company, and I don't think the boss is Dr. Lintz, I think it was the on-site operation boss, to Chester, 5 miles away, to get a strong rope, so as to hoist it out in the morning. But when morning came, those on the islands were surprised that the other 4, the boss and the 3, never made it back with the rope, as they were not in the shanty. But when they were out to the pit, they found the new rope, the one they were going to get from Chester. The cask has been raised, rolled down to the shore, and by marks of sand, on sand, they say it has been put in the boat, and boat, cask, and the 4 men were gone. Wow, what a story. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but that's an interesting one. So at 60 feet, there was something, or maybe 65 feet, not the 90 foot stone, a big cask. And why did they carry on digging? After some thought of giving up, it was decided that all this hole had not been dug so deeply merely to bury this one cask, and there must be other. So they went down. And went down at 78 feet, they found a piece of board with a rough outline of something cut on it that looked something like a calf or a lamb. But no one seemed to know what it was. I'll let you read. In the digging, they came to charcoal, planks, putty, and coconut fiber. But the most important things they found was about 90 feet, here we are now, where they found the stone, and the stone story continue. So this document, which is, I think, the only testimony of the dig and something being found, not at 90 feet, but at 65 feet, I never heard of before. So there was probably, at 65 feet, something here that was removed, and it was a cask of iron, heavy one. Interesting. Okay, so that would be the only thing that was dug up that we don't remember of? No. In Oak Island Connection, a book written by the descendant of Jim McInnes, or Daniel McInnes, sorry, I took some snapshots of the document of the book, which you should buy. It's interesting, it's funny, it's lively. But there are some hints in there that are quite interesting. Our next sibling was James Edward Lindsley McGuinness. We call him Jim. So Jim is the Jim McGuinness we know, from Jim to Bill Jackson, the document. He was the owner of, or the inheritant of the document, of the La Formule. The night he passed away, Joanne was caring for him. He took the cross from his neck and put it around hers and said, "Don't let it out of your sight, and don't ever lose sight of the cross. It is the key." This cross, according to the McGuinness family, was found in the money pit on the first excavation before 27 feet, and was transmitted from father to son in the McGuinness family for generations. And Jim gave it to his sister because I don't think Jim didn't have any children. And I think he wanted his sister to give it to the next male in the family or something like that. But I think it's Joan or Jean who got it. Now this cross, according to Jim, which probably was words from his parents, grandparents, etc., the whole family, or they consider it is the key. Why? Either it's a strong belief, and it's just a belief, or something told them it was the key. Or let me rephrase it. Some document told them the cross is the key. And the cross was in one of a treasure box or something down the way. I personally think that the cross is the key is not this cross, it's Nolans Cross. Because we know from this book that basically when Tom Nolan revealed the Nolans Cross, Jim McInnes almost rose from the dead on his hospital. It was like 2 or 3 years before passing away, and the only thing that was obsessing him is going on the island, because he knew that there was some geometry associated with the Nolans Cross. Now, when the whole family from the ancestors saying the cross is the key, they were referring to this one, but the document that said the cross is the key could be talking about the Nolans Cross, which was not discovered yet. Another interesting fact, if you overlay Nolans Cross dimension to scale with the McGuinness Cross to scale, they match in the branches and in the center going down. The proportions are here. The proportions are not there for the top stone, the cone D, and I checked neither the extension, neither nor. It doesn't work on top, but I found it interesting. So let's carry on reading a bit of the book. Jim's insight into Oak Islands are unique, and more details can be found in this chapter, but we can let you right now the concrete thing we say about a cross. It has been in our family as far as we can back remember. Our father wore the cross after Grandpa Bill, and our uncles seems envious that Ambrose received it. Jim wore it before he went to service in Vietnam and wore it every day we saw him. Beyond those facts, the information is only what we heard. Jim told me that there were a few items that had been found while digging, and they were put in 3 small boxes for the families of McGuinness, Vaughan, and Smith. This is what I was referring to when I was saying there were 3 treasures in an interview she had before. 3 treasure chests. But she says with a smile, if a real treasure was found, we would have lived a different life. Basically, we're poor people. And those things didn't change our life. It was not the treasure. My brother Jim was planning on how he could get back to Oak Island until the day he died. They were obsessed with it. But very interesting. According to Jim's legend from the family, there were things that were found on the way at 27 feet. Our uncles had items that they say came from Oak Island. We've asked our cousin, they're not sure what happened to the gold nuggets. Obviously there was a gold nugget found because one of the grandfather had it as a necklace, but they lost it, we don't know. And we searched for more our cousin to ask, but I have not located them. Okay, so already in 1795, going at 25 or 27 feet, I think they found things. And they found that little cross. Golden cross that they show on the Oak Island show, TV show. Did they find anything else? That's where I'm getting to now. Okay, this map was not cut before it was cut, right? 7 pieces. They cut it in 7 pieces. Could it be for the 7 families? This is from a former video I made trying to locate who owned what at the island in 1975. And I could be wrong on 1 or 2 lots or time-wise, fair enough. But I counted 7 families. Ball, Vaughn, Smith, McInnes. We have Nathaniel Melvin. That's 5 already. Ambrose Allen, 6. And Edwards Gem, 7. Now, bear in mind, this is a small island. If the kids have been digging for a couple of days or weeks, the whole island knew about it. No way you can hide it. So all the owners, all the people were looking what the 3 gentlemen were doing. Did they participate? Why not? Were they there when they discovered those chests or those little pieces? Why not? Did they decide it was a truce and it would be split? Why not? I'm in the hypothesis. I'm trying to understand why they cut it in 7 if there were only 3 people involved. Or even if Samuel Ball was with them, there were 4 people involved. Why cut it into 7 pieces? Especially if the drawings cut into 4 pieces. So I don't know, but it's just, I'm exploring this. Let's carry on with the book. Again, I would qualify my statement, Joanne or Jean says, when I care about Uncle George. So Uncle George ended up in dementia, meaning that he said things that I never heard from, and at the end he didn't even remember his name. But you know what, people in dementia, and I got a case in my family, though their mental is not crisp of everyday routine, their memory is intact. And it gets out of their brain without control, and you're talking about what you're going to eat tonight, and they answer about their friend in second high 90 years ago, the day that they fooled the teacher with whatever. Crisp, sharp. So I'm not ready to discard Uncle George's sayings that are written in there yet. So the information came scattered amongst historical loathing and other stories. He said, I told my son, but I'm going to tell you too, Jeannie, that there is a secret hatch near the cabin. Send your sons to find the hatch and find what's inside. Warn them not to get lost in there. He didn't explain where to find it, but said the entrance was just a few inches beneath the surface. So let's stop at this first story. He's saying that next to the cabin, and where did they live? The McInnes Foundation is here, on lot 23. And he's saying, there's a secret. Send your son to find the hatch and find what's inside. Warn them not to get... He didn't explain where is it. He said the entrance was just a few inches beneath the surface. There's a secret hatch near the cabin. There's a secret hatch near the cabin. I found snapshots of the episode long time ago where the crew from Oak Island visits the foundation. So that's the foundation. It's next to this road. This is the main road of Oak Island. I watched the episode. So not only I placed, okay, the house here, the house is probably, or the foundation are probably even there. And I checked. Michael located the position on the valve for the Zina Halpern's map of the valve and not the hole under the trapdoor. Let me explain you in a second. The valve is here. My proposal is that they, the Guinness family, had access to at least, let's use this one, on top of that one. And this one shows indeed that on the surface there is an entry. But if you don't have all the other pictures, you could think this is a ladder going down, and that's your back entrance. Don't get lost in there. And that could be a back entrance to the tunnels if you have not understood those tunnels' purpose or to be flooded and you are not supposed to go down. But it could be dealing and talking by seeing those documents that near the house. And that, how does it know near the house? Probably because of written information at the back of another piece. You see where I'm getting to, I guess. So what he thinks is a trap is actually the valve mechanism. The trapdoor is here, and on this picture they don't show any surface access. There may be a chain link to pull that thing up and another one to pull, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to have a easy open connection according to this drawing, at least. So that's for maybe what he calls the secret hatch is actually the valve according to the drawing. And the other story doesn't relate. It's about the blue pond, which ends up to be the cave-in pit, we think, but that's not what I'm working on for this video. And she finishes by saying, I'm attaching a piece of paper that Uncle George showed me. One time he pointed to the page and said, this is just one piece of the puzzle, just like Bill Jackson in the Scrolls of Antiora mentioned. And it was kept hidden behind the stone in the wall of Daniel's cabin. I remember where Vaughn, is it Smith or Vaughn? I think it's Smith, I can't remember, who hid the 90-foot stone in his fireplace. It's like a common trend at the time. He said the more you discover on Oak Island, the more you will need to find the rest of the pieces of paper. So he knew there's others. He knows there's other pieces, and it's not the only one. Probably because he's seen them all, or he's been told by his ancestors there were others. Because somebody in the McInnes family at one point, probably Daniel, saw them all together before they cut it. I don't know where the inscription was copied from, no idea what the symbol means. I'm sure you're wondering why. Yeah, my point is, at the time they discovered it, and at the time they saw this, they didn't have the Tifnigat alphabet translated, didn't have the Kempton cipher, that came later. So they didn't know what this text means, again, as I explained earlier. All right, so yeah, I wanted to show you where the foundation was, and they said next to the cabin there's a go send the kids. It's just on the other side of the road, according to Michael's calculation. So this is my proposal for today. Vaughn, Smith, and McGuinness found things, just like Kempton reports. They found things again in 1805 down at 60 feet, and they found the 90-foot stone at 90 feet. They probably found things on the first journey way down to only 27 feet in 1795. They found a gold cross. They found a gold nugget that they lost since. And I believe, that's my assumption, huh? Purely perspective, they found the 7 pieces puzzle sketched that was not cut at the time. And I've been thinking since I wrote those lines a couple of hours ago, why? Why would you leave something like this there? I got ideas, but nothing strong yet. But I think the vault is empty, and I think the people left just the map of what somebody would come and visit tourism on it. I don't know, but probably it was there. Then the sketch was cut into 7 or 8 pieces, depends how you take it, as I explained, making sure that the capital information, the most important one, is shared among the 7 pieces, whether drawings or written info. I don't know, question mark, 7 pieces for the 7 families. There are 3 people involved. If we count Samuel Ball, there's 4 people involved. If we count 8 pieces, everybody's got 2. Maybe that's the answer. 4 people, 8 pieces, I'm not sure. I believe, again, pure hypothesis on my side, that the cipher was not decoded at the time and there was no cipher translator inside the pit with those documents. Only the plain French text on La Formule is seeable. And that's interesting because if I go back to that, here, or a better picture here. Though I don't understand this if I don't have the Compton cipher, I can understand La Formule, even I don't speak French, it's formula, same word, the value, and my eyes get caught by a plain word in French, 20, something la value. So maybe if I don't understand this text, I'm not going to cut it. I'm just going to cut some part of it. Or actually, I did cut it because we know some words don't finish and they're on the other pages. I'm not sure, but almost accessory. Did they have this text translated at the time or not? Okay. So how many people? Vaughn, Smith, McGuinness for sure. Ball maybe was involved. Again, it's a small island. You can't dig for 3 weeks without people noticing what you're doing. And everybody knew everybody. On the Vaughan, there is a question about, is it Vaughan Senior, is it Vaughan Junior, or are both of them, the father and son, participated? We know Vaughan participated, but I've seen blogs and writings questioning this. Was there more people? The whole island, one per family, we don't know. From just looking at the drawing, you understand there's the valve, that's what I was explaining, that is accessible, and other back inscription probably locate the valve and where it is. That's how Grandpa Bill knew that near the cabin there was some trapdoor, which could be the valve. When you look at the picture, if you count, and if you believe it's scaled because you don't know better, when you count the number of decks of platforms, you count 7 platforms, so you think the entrance service tunnel is at 70 feet. We know from La Formule, if you decode that cipher, it's at 40 feet, and that explains and backs up the fact that the drawing is not at scale. So they may have misleading, thinking something to access the big vault, you have to dig at 70 feet. And they wanted, after at 60 feet when they found the cask, they wanted to go further down, and they triggered the booby trap. Why did they trigger the booby trap? I'm getting to this. Because there are things they could not understand. The flooding and the hydraulic system, the flooding and the hydraulic system. Let me explain you. If I get back to this. Sorry. If I don't know anything about the island, I'm seeing here, well, I'm seeing a tunnel going to 5 tunnels. Could be gold deposit. Hey, why not? On the side. We know now, because after they abandoned, I think they were already dead, when they discovered the flooding system. We know now this is the flooding system. At the time, when they were digging down, they didn't even trigger the booby trap, so they didn't even know that there was a flooding system. It's only when the system was triggered, a couple of decades later, people found the Smith Cove artificial beach and understand that this is the drain of water coming in. But when I get this map first and I've been digging 30 feet, I don't understand that. So I'm thinking it's secure and safe. I can just go down, and I can go down, and I can walk, and this may be a hearse or a vertical door, and I can get to that vault. I don't even understand this, because I don't need to. When I first saw this drawing, I did not understand what it was. It took me 2-3 months before putting together that the Rochefoucauld map was connected. I was seeing this. I anticipated this was the money pit and the inflow. But bloody hell, nobody ever talked or anything like that on the shore or anything. So it didn't work. It didn't connect at first. And maybe that's what happened to them. They did not understand this was flooding in progress, waiting for them if they removed that stone. So they happily went down. But yeah, that's what I think. So let's finish this slide. The cipher meaning I think they didn't have. So they didn't understand yet to stop at 40. They went all the way down. And the trapdoor, it's not as displayed in the drawing as I just showed you. So that's where we were with Michael yesterday, and we're quite excited because, again, this is the hypothesis, and this is just but the fact part is here. The fact part is that it's been cut in a certain way to separate important graphic information on this side and important text information on the other side. It's Michael who told me, yeah, La Formule, they removed the value, the most important, not the most important, but a important thing into the system. And they put in another parchment to give to somebody else. So that's what we are now. Is it really, how did Jim McGuinness got his part, his copy? Where did he get it? Where his family got it? They're not rich people. They didn't go around the world like Bill Jackson did to Cremona, Italy, to buy the year to remember. They didn't. I really think it's a strong case for they had it from the beginning. They had that information in the money pit. Where else could they have got it from? They didn't know anybody. They didn't, I mean, we're 1795. You don't have like internet and auction to buy those things. The reason why the McGuinness family has got their piece of the puzzle is because it's the copy of the piece of the puzzle they found on the very first day at 20 feet, explaining what was to to expect in that system with full instructions. That's my belief. And that's how we're gonna close this video today. I thank you very much. Pleasure to have those videos. You understand I'm mixed between the French videos and the English videos now. I got a backlog, but couldn't resist after yesterday's discussion. And you know how we are with Michael. As soon as we find something fresh, we share it with you right away, and that's the case. We'll see if that leads us to something, because nobody ever emitted any hypothesis on where these documents came from. They didn't come by magic. And I think the best place to find them is in the money pit itself. Everybody take care. Love you all. Bye-bye. Talk to you soon.